Welcome, friends of the self, of the true self. This is what this channel is about, and what all of it is intended to help you realize, as well as have you explore what this whole spiritual awakening journey is about, and come also into more of a recognition of your non-separate self, and as a means to really go to the root of not just your suffering, but the suffering that is inherent um, in this world, that is mostly caused by this continuous sense of separation, of an autonomously acting entity, and what this autonomous separate self then inflicts on others because of not knowing what it is, and not knowing that the self is containing of all others, and that you're self-inflicting, basically, when you are inflicting suffering on other people. And so one of the texts that is so helpful for us to look at, that's why I'm giving you a commentary on it, is Yogasutra. And the sutra that I wanted to talk about today is 123. It talks about one of the main principles why people are actually wanting to realize the self. And it talks about divinity. It talks about the divine self. And it is often sort of like such a helpful tool. Like he mentions it as the fast kind of tool, the fast kind of helpful stepping stone is the surrendering to your divine self, surrendering to your higher self. And I see it oftentimes as this kind of progression, that people that have this deep affinity to divinity, this is like this deep intrinsic love for the divine, this deep intrinsic knowing that there is this vaster intelligence. And the way that we often come in, and how education makes us feel, is fast to have a form of relationship then with this kind of divine intelligence. And realization is the recognition that you are this intelligence. But oftentimes there is some form of progression in knowing yourself as that, and also in cultivating this kind of deep interest in the divine, deep interest in this vaster intelligence, but really also this deep devotion to the divine principle, and this knowing what this divine principle stands for. And also you all have the knowing that you are divine, you are divinity. This is not separate from you either. It's not just other people or beings that are not separate from you, but you are divinity. This kind of exploration and discovery. And for many people, when they start developing a relationship, then the fast relationship, often cultivated through rituals or through religions, and then the divine is really seen as something outside of yourself, and something that isn't necessarily, depending on what kind of religion you're following, but isn't necessarily in contact with you. But some of them already have, that you're cultivating, whether that is through recitation of mantras, or whether that is through prayers, that you're cultivating some form of relationship with that divine essence. And then it is more, as you progress in your spiritual inclination, it is really a lot about this relationship, right? This relationship to this vaster intelligence, this relationship to what is intrinsically knowing of your path. And this relationship to this higher self. You then also realize that this higher self, what you sometimes come into contact with, like where you receive insights from, and what seems to be guiding your path, what seems to be pushing you in certain directions, what seems to bring people to you. This divine or higher self is where many people feel they get guidance from, or feel they get insights from, or feel their intuition is strengthened from. And Patanjali talks about this surrender to this divine self, like knowing that ultimately what this your finite mind, your focalized point of view, even after realization, what you can know is always limited about divinity, about consciousness, about ultimate reality. It is always limited by the capacity of the mind. And yet there is a continuous streaming, right? A streaming towards your own understanding and your own growing into this knowledge of divinity. And so the divine, this cultivation of the surrender to the divine, cultivation of surrendering to your higher self, to your divine self, to the guidance you're receiving, to this. This is a huge stepping stone for a lot of people. And ultimately, it also, again, like all these suttas, comes from the knowledge of the self, which is that you are this life. So there's nobody else there that actually orchestrates this life exactly as it is for this focal point of view. And the divine self, what you are, is actually inclusive of all the people in your life. They're all aspects within your consciousness. The divine self, realized, actualized, embodied, means that you come into recognition that all these people are actually aspects within your own consciousness. They all are parts of you, of that vaster you. doesn't necessarily mean that your embodied, focalized point of view plays out everything that other people want to play out. That the creations of everyone in this field of intelligence are completely respected. And so there are many people that will not act like you act, will not be interested in what you are interested in, will not do or behave or act or think or as you do, especially if you're very much into spiritual awakening, then you're still somehow pioneering here. You're still somehow helping others, waking them up on a certain level. But all of them only appear as perceptions within yourself. All of them only appear in your awareness. And the deeper you go into opening yourself to the truth of who you are, what you are, this intelligence as such, this divine field as such, this purity of nothingness, the more you are actually opening yourself, the more you see that all of them are aspects within your own consciousness. They are all appearances that are somehow necessary. And this divine field that you are right now a part of continuously orchestrates life in a way that is helpful and beneficial for all people in it, everyone in it. You as much as your parents, your children, everyone in it. Everyone is orchestrated. And because it is divine intelligence, it's not just orchestrating life right now in this present moment, according to what is necessary for everyone, what they want to experience, but also different timelines, different lifetimes. People meet each other again. People work out conflicts with each other. People have re-meetings in a way. And so it is an intelligence that completely surpasses the individual and also the capacity of our individual interpretation of all what is happening. We could never figure this out in the same way as these persons. But you're not the person. You are the consciousness behind it and the awareness that is aware of all of it. And you need to realize yourself as this awareness that is behind all of it, because the more you open yourself to it, and the more you see that all are aspects within your own consciousness, the more you need that kind of detachment that you can only have once you're no longer identified with all of it. As long as you're identified with a stance that only sees through the eyes of the person, you don't have the detachment to see actually with neutrality all these parts and parcels within your own consciousness, all of it being you, all of it being washed through your awareness for the benefit of everyone in it. And so he says, surrender to your divine self. In the knowledge that this divine self, so how do we get from point A being identified to point B if we are not feeling that we are realized yet? One of the things he says that's really helpful is surrender. Surrender to this divine self. Surrender to the divine as your life, for example. Surrender to this present moment as it is, knowing that all the creations in it. So whatever you are facing right now is ultimately your divine self's own creation. It is coming from you, for you, and as you. And so you can surrender to this present moment. The more you are identified, the more there is a continuous rejection of what is. Continuous rejection that something is missing. Something should be other than it is. It doesn't matter how positive or negative your life is. What the person does, or what the limited view does, is it's never enough, or it isn't what you want, or you want something else. There's the continuous wish to change something, or to alter it, or just so that it's different in a way. And this is completely created for you as you. Now you can say, how come then I have challenges at all in my life? Shouldn't it all be easy if I created it for myself? Wouldn't I make it just only nice for myself? No challenge, no catalyst. And the thing is really that a lot of the catalysts make you aware. You are awareness ultimately. Awareness or consciousness, what does it want? What is it intrinsically? Conscious of something, aware of something, knowing. So you're wanting to know something. You want to become aware of something. And so this is what it is happening. You wanted to become aware of something. Sometimes this goes by having a free flow, and sometimes it comes by challenge. And sometimes your growth comes through challenge. Your growth comes through catalyst. Sometimes also you really, on a soul level, wanted to know something. Something until there is a complete knowing. Until there is a deep insight, until something is revealed to you from inside yourself. This was what it was about. This was what I needed to learn. This was what I was completely unconscious of. This was that. And so you are constellating. This is how powerful you are. You are the divine in every moment, and so is everyone else. And one of the main things is to surrender, to learn how to surrender. And it is also helpful because awareness is surrendered. Like what happens in the state of awareness, even with your mind stuff, right? Even with what is arising in your mind, even with your perceptions, with your sensations, with whatever else is coming up in your mind, positive or negative. What is awareness? It is surrendered. It doesn't hold a stance. It is simply observing and witnessing what is arising and can be detached from it, isn't identified with it, doesn't hold a stance to whatever is arising, doesn't have bias, doesn't need to blame, doesn't go actually into the whole duality game so much. There's always some form of distance, some form of neutrality. And that is actually a complete surrender. It is a complete surrender to the present moment, or you could say complete surrender to the contents of the mind, but not being in it, being surrendered to observing them as they are. This is what you are training yourself to be. Surrendered to what is, circumstances, situations. That's such a helpful advice also. Be surrendered to what is, to the circumstances you are facing. These are your current creations. Honor them. Become aware of them. Know why are they created as they are. Know yourself. Know what is happening. But at the same time, surrender to this, what is right now happening in your life as it is. And having this enables you to actually already come from this divine seeing yourself, being the same, surrendered to what is, surrendering to the divine that made you exactly as you are, that lets you do what you do, that has you love what you love. This is also surrendering to the divine, surrendering to the divine as it is, knowing that this is perfected and that you are perfected. This expression is perfected. And what you want to realize is yourself as this perfected intelligence, more and more so. And so one of the first things is surrender to your divine self. Lay down the burden of continuously trying to figure it all out. You cannot figure life out from your personal stance. The personal stance that you have continuously comes from memories, projections into the future, and what you have heard, what is possible. This is what we deem possible, what we have experienced, is what is continuously actually at the root, at the base of all of our ideas of life. Surrendering to the divine also is a continuous, I don't know, is an emptying out. It is, I don't know, being informed, allowing to be informed by your divine self, knowing that ultimately you also don't have any doership. All is done because, again, it is one perfected, orchestrated life that orchestrates everything to a T. That is also what is happening. And so this is also why you need to surrender to this divine self exactly as it is. The path of non-resistance to what is a surrender to the divine self, surrendering to that vast intelligence. So this is a very, very, very beautiful sutra and very beautiful pathway also to simply being already, embodying, not maybe not realizing yet, but embodying more, is by a continuous surrender to this divine self that you already are. Knowing, again, also always keep in mind, you are the divine. There is, again, no separation. There is no distance. There's no distance between you and divinity. Divinity is the purity of presence. It is beyond even I am. It is the complete annihilation of subject and object. It is just the purity of presence. But this you also are already now. So I hope that this is a beautiful reminder for you. Namaste.